Man, bro, it's good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
It's my first time at the Diaz Academy, Stockton, California, Lodi area. It's not a big place. It's a town, you know, a small city. And you and your brother, Nick, made this place what it was. Like, what was it like growing up here?
Growing up here in Stockton, well, it was cool. It's all I know. It's all I knew. And that it's got its rap. It's got its bads, but it's a good place too.
Yeah.
I like. Like I said, it's everything I knew. It's after getting out of the world a little bit, I realized that it was a little more serious here than a lot of other places. But I think it was good, great place to grow up, and I love being here still. And I'll be here probably until the end of time.
Yeah.
It's a little more of a serious place. Everybody's just get done what they got to get done in their day and go home, and don't want to be bothered and messed with. So I think it's a pretty hardcore environment, but like I said, it's got its good places too. And we're right by Lodi, California, which is a really nice place also. And there's nice places here. There's nice places there. There's bad places here, bad places there, just like anywhere. So I think the really bad is really bad, and the good is good. So I think I was real good after understanding that, recognizing when I'm anywhere else, where I'm at.
I want to get a little bit into Nate Diaz and who Nate Diaz is. I don't hear a lot of people talking about that. They talk a lot about the bad boy image, and I want to know, what type of kid was Nate Diaz growing up? Did you get in a lot of fights?
I didn't get in a lot of fights until I was a little older, but my brother was always real serious, and he was a serious kid since as long as I can remember. I remember being like probably third grade, third grade, and coming out of the house and looking at my brother like, hey, let's go play and do this. And he's like, get away from me. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't a joyful. He wasn't
So
like,
he's always been like
Nick's
that.
always been like that. And I think he was like a fully grown man when he was a little kid. He was always serious. I was different. I was more. I got in trouble at school, but I was more. I'd play around in class and goof off, more joking around and stuff. But like I said, I was never out trying to get in fights.
Trouble like that.
I was more because of that. I was more staying out of fights.
Yeah.
And knew if you get into it, if you're gonna be talking about fighting, you better be about fighting.
Yeah.
So.
Man, I was similar, man. I didn't get in a lot
Similar.
of fights because I knew what could happen. You know?
Yeah.
I knew what could happen. Man, we're in the Nate Diaz Academy right now. Like I said, bro, it's got to be over 100 right now. So if you see me sweating, that's what that is. So how did you start in, I'm gonna say, fighting? You know, is it true that your first like real fight was a bare knuckle in 2002 before you officially started in MMA?
Yeah, I did a bunch of amateur stuff, and I would call that amateur because that was what they called a pancration tournament.
Yeah.
And it was where it was like, MMA was kind of new on the scene back then. It was big time.
A lot different.
Yeah, and they were like, I think I was 16 years old, and it was open hands to the face.
Yeah.
And full contact everywhere else. So the only person they had, and then you weigh in that morning, and then they match you up with somebody 3 hours later or something like that. And I fought some dude who was like 40 years old. I was 16 or 17 years old. And then, I finished him quick, though. It was, I was better on the ground. We came from a strong jiu-jitsu background, from Cesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu out there in the Bay. And there's nothing like that all the way to probably LA at the time. So people were doing ground stuff, but not like how we were. We had the best ground game in the area.
So, bro, you had a handful of fights, man. 7 MMA fights. You end up on Ultimate Fighter, season 5. Like, how did that happen, and what was that experience like?
Yeah, so my brother, they wanted him to go on Ultimate Fighter, and he was like, no way, I'm cool on that Ultimate Fighter. He wasn't doing it. He's like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, we already talked about that, so it was obvious I was coming.
Yeah.
And then 2 more went by, 4, and then 5 was coming up, and they're like, hey, we want Nate for the Ultimate Fighter. Dan White was at a WCA event I fought in, and they were like, we want him on the Ultimate Fighter. They knew Nick already, and they were like, oh, we want him. That's perfect, because they liked Nick too.
Yeah.
And so they called me for that, and they're like, hey, they want you on the Ultimate Fighter, and I was like, hell no, I'm not going on the Ultimate Fighter. And I was like, I'm good. He's like, yeah, you should go. I was like, I'm cool off that. We'll do something else. I was like, and Caesar's telling me, I was like, I'll get on the Ultimate, I'll get in the UFC.
Yeah.
I already just knew it. I just ran through like 5 people in a row. I had a loss right there fresh, but it was like one of the top guys in the UFC when they had dropped the lightweight division. And I was like, I'll get on there anyway. He's like, I think you should go. And I was like, hell no. So I went home, and then I'm talking to Nick. I was like, man, this fool's tripping. He wants me to go. He wants me to go to the Ultimate Fighter. I ain't going to that. He had just not done that. Nick looks at me like, yeah. He's like, I think you should go. And I'm like, what the hell? Now he's turning on me. I was like, I gotta go to the Ultimate Fighter. I'm like, I'm not going to that. And he's like, yeah, but he's like, dude, I'm established.
Yeah.
He's like, you ain't done shit.
Yeah, that's cool though, he did that though.
Nah, that was real cool.
He gave you some, showed you some love. He
And he was,
like,
and I was a kid, but I felt like he was just, I didn't feel like that. But now I'm looking back, I'm like, he was just a kid too, but Nick was an older kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was old from young, and he's like, hey, I'm established, I did stuff, you should get on there.
Yeah.
I think you should go.
Bro, what would have happened if you didn't go to the Ultimate Fighter? Because you didn't want to go. You end up going, you win it all. Tell me how those fights went, and then what did that do for your career?
Yeah, it was good. I'm glad I went. It was a good experience. I met a lot of good people. Made a lot of good things happen. So
you did like it?
It was in the past. Tagging in the past.
Okay, looking back,
At the time, it was a living hell, but for sure, I would never do that type of thing again.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost all the money in the world to do something like that. Sit in jail for 6 weeks with 5 people.
It's a long time.
Yeah, and then, but it came off the way. You know, I was hot from the very beginning of this whole thing, and that's what I take pride in, is that I kept the consistency, because I'm still, my last fight was the hottest fight in the UFC that was going on, and this new thing I'm doing now too, still, and it's been a long time, and I plan on keeping on.
I'm gonna ask you another question I ask all combat fighters. How does Nate Diaz deal with pressure? Pressure in life and pressure in this fight game?
I've had a lot of pressure the whole time. Even before this fight game, I was in a fight game at home, you know. Like I was already talking about my brother, I always been into it a long. Like I got to middle school and high school, and everybody knew who I was already. People knew my brother.
Diaz.
And you know, my brother was already. I hate to throw him under the bus like that. Like he was king fighter of the world, but he was my whole life, and people already knew about me fighting, my brother fighting. So when I remember getting in fights in high school, be like, all right, after school at the park, and then going to the park, and there was 200 people at the park. So I was already headlining. I was headlining parks before. I was headlining TV fights, and the pressure's been. And then I go to Ultimate Fighter. Now I'm on the Ultimate Fighter, and I can't leave in the middle of the night because I planned on it. But as soon as they pick teams, they're like, hey, you should fight this guy, you should fight this guy. I'm like, so now I'm gonna leave in the middle of the night because the guy fought. I can't leave until I beat this guy. So then I beat the guy, a couple of days goes by, you're good. I'm good because I'm coming off a win, so it's not so bad after all, but I gotta fight again in a week and a half. And I can't leave now because I gotta fight this guy. And I can't leave scared because I gotta go home to my brother and the team. And then I gotta win the show because I can't go home to my brother like I lost and the team like I lost. And then I won the show. Now I gotta win the show, the finale, because I came this far. Pressure was on. Then when I'm on, you can't lose. And then when you lose, you're like, I lost, I gotta win now. So pressure ain't never stopped the whole time. I've been living in pressure the whole time. So when the pressure's hot at home, go for a long run. Get in the gym, go to work, and it eases the pressure because then you're comfortable when you do the work. You know something about that?
This fight game has been like therapy for you. It's been an outlet.
Yeah.
You know, being a fighter and looking at you throughout the years and just, you know, other MMA guys too, you know, it's mixed martial arts, man. Obviously it's multiple different disciplines. How do you juggle multiple? Today is jiu-jitsu, tomorrow I'm working on my karate, next day I'm working on my stand-up. How do you do that in an 8-week period getting ready for a fight?
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of wear and tear. Even for the MMA fights that I was fighting, I was doing the I was doing the same work like as if I was doing a boxing fight. I'll spar 3 days a week, 4 or 5 days a week. A lot of the time, boxing, and I'm doing the running no matter what, and trying to do as much weight and condition as I can. But besides all that, I still have to do that same amount of stuff with the grappling, and then I have to make sure I'm blocking kicks, and I have to do the takedown defense because otherwise they're going to hold you down and cancel out all your jiu-jitsu.
Right.
It's a lot of stuff. So
when do y'all rest?
Yeah. Now that I think about it, it's been 17 years. There ain't been no rest.
Man.
But then the second I start resting is the second the pressure comes back on, and you're like, I'm going to work,
The life
and then
pressure.
you got to get back out there and get on it. Yeah, and then when you start doing other stuff besides fighting, when I'm doing stuff besides fighting, like I've taken a year off and 3 years off one time, and I never stopped training though the whole time. I stayed like I was training, because otherwise, the rest of the life shit is like, I know what I'm doing in here. You know, you're out there and you're trying to do stuff, and then that stuff will just. How do you fix that out there? You come in here too. So,
let me ask you a real question, man. Are you scared to stop fighting? You scared to see what's next in life when this is over with?
I'm not afraid of that. I don't like the way I feel when I'm not fighting though, because I've been competing my whole life. So, when I was a kid, I was in sports. From my swim team and running when I was 4 years old. And I was playing soccer and football and basketball all the way up till high school, and then I took 2 years of not doing sports and stuff, and then I started competing in jiu-jitsu and amateur kickboxing and boxing, and then the pancreation tournament, then I started fighting, and then that was all 10 minutes ago, and now we're here. So I don't feel any older. I feel like shocked every time somebody says, I'm 21, and I'm like, me too.
That's how I
know
feel.
I'm not, you know? So
your body's saying something different.
So when I started the jiu-jitsu and the boxing too, the jiu-jitsu and stuff, now check this out. I would go to jiu-jitsu class with my brother. It started because I got in a fight at school, and my brother was like, you want to go train with me? And I had just got suspended from being in a fight at the park after school. My brother and all the homies were there because, like I said, word gets around town. Nate's fighting after school. The whole neighborhood's at the park now. So I go to the park, fight the guy. I go home suspended. I'm with my brother. There's a big old main event at the park. It's all settling down. We go home and we're chilling. I'm sitting there. Nate's grabbing his stuff, getting his stuff together to go train. He's like, what's up? I'm going to training. You want to go with me? I'm like, nah, I'm going to chill. He's like, you better come train with me after that ass performance you put on at the park right there. And I was like,
so he judging your street
right
fights?
right off the bat.
Oh, man, bro, that's a lot. Big bro putting a lot of pressure
was on
you,
the whole time. That's
Big
what I'm
bro
saying.
putting a lot of pressure on you.
So pressure's been on the whole time. It was already bad enough he was there with 20 of my friends. And then, so I grabbed my stuff. I went to the gym with him. And we grappled and then hit the bag afterwards. A couple of days went by. He's like, let's go. Every day, he's like, let's go. We're going to the gym. And then I'm training and I'm doing jiu-jitsu class with him. And then these people are tapping me out, and he's tapping out the whole class. And he's training for a pro fight, an MMA fight. So afterwards, he threw MMA gloves to me on and we'd spar. He's like, this guy tap you out? I've been like, nah. And he's like, yeah, I seen him tap you out. I was just a kid, 15, 16. He's like, look, after you train with these guys, make them box you after class. We'll box after class. So after class, people would tap me out. I'd be like, what's up, you want to box? We're going to box after class. So we'd put on the gloves, no headgear, either just boxing gloves and mouthpiece, and a mat, not even in the ring. And then I'd box these guys who would work me on the floor. I'd work them over on with hands.
So you always had hands, even younger.
Well, they developed when my fights took place. Then I was like, you better step it up.
Because your brother was on you about it.
So we always were boxing because fighting was more of a normal thing where I was from in the neighborhood, and then he was always competitive, like boxes, kickboxes. So we're always, so then I'm boxing the guys who'd beat me on the ground, and then when I go train with them on the ground the next day or the day after, they couldn't even beat me on the ground no more because I destroyed them. And they're like, man, and myself, I was like, this guy ain't tapping me out no more.
Yeah.
I whooped his ass yesterday. Yeah, so.
Now to the fight. August 5th, Dallas, Texas. How was Nate Diaz fighting Jake Paul?
Yeah, I was saying he started popping off to a bunch of MMA fighters. Out loud, I was still in contract. I had some fights going on. I was trying to get out, but I was like not really in a hurry. I was in a hurry, but not in a hurry. And he was popping off. He started saying stuff about Conor McGregor and his wife and all that stuff. And I know in Conor's situation he was in, the best thing for him to do would be ignore him, big league him, you know. And I didn't have nothing going on, so someone needed to tell this dude to shut up because he's out of line. Yeah. So I just responded like, shut your ass up or something. And then he got all excited, started going off. Because the best thing that could happen for him was a real fighter from the real fight game saying something that's exactly what he wanted. And I wasn't going for all that, but I was just like, shut up. And it kind of elevated from this to that. Every time he got a chance to pop off about the fight game, he'd say something about me. And then I was like, I got one fight left, so as soon as that's done, we'll see what's up with you. And and then he started fighting all the guys, and then all the ex-UFC fighters. So those guys didn't have much else going on though.
But do you respect at all what he's doing?
I will. I respect that. Yeah, he's trying to get attention and doing anything for content. That's what those YouTubers do and stuff, right? But you gotta respect that he's gonna get in the ring and fight somebody, and that's more than you can say for a lot of those guys. And then he's fighting high level guys, high level fighters, and he's working, he's training, and I could tell, just like when I was a kid, trying to get in the game, you could tell he's passionate about what he's doing, and respect for sure.
Yeah. What do you have to do to leave August 5th with your hand raised?
I just feel I got to train hard like always, and go out there and get the job done, and that's the plan. That's what I plan on doing. And
give me maybe one thing that you got to do, or one thing you feel like you can do to capitalize on his inexperience.
I just feel like I can go in there and be better than him. I think I am better than him. I think he's good and he's tough, and I just, like I said, I got to go out there and get the job done. Me and my coach and my team, we work hard and harder than anybody, and I've been working over a lot of. The thing about him is he knows that MMA fighters can't box, and that they're in over their heads trying to box because he went in there and worked a bunch over in training and now in fights also. The only thing about that is, and the MMA fighters don't know this, but the only thing about that is that I'm in on the same secret, and I've been on that since I was 15. So.
You're not the average.
Yeah, I'm not your average wrestler, MMA fighter. I didn't wrestle. When these guys that he fought were, when the guys he fought were in the wrestling room at 5 and 6 and 7 and 10, 15 years old, I was boxing the whole neighborhood and boxing every pro I could find and boxing at the highest level I could find my whole career.
You talked about like backing up the reputation, the legacy, all that stuff. Do you feel added pressure from the MMA community? Like, bro, go represent and get this done.
I feel a lot of hate from a lot of the MMA
Hate?
Community.
Really?
I have felt a lot of hate from the boxing community, and I felt a lot of hate from a lot of haters out there, more than I feel any love or backup. So.
But you feel like that's the main voice you're hearing from the MMA community?
I hear a lot more hate than love.
Yeah. Why though? Because of who you fighting?
Yeah, I think people are more jealous of my position. Not just fighting him, but they know I do what I want to do, and been doing what I want to do the whole time. And then you got ex-UFC fighter analysts and stuff like that saying their opinions, and I'm like, and then.
You think they would have took that opportunity?
100%, and a lot of those guys, they say talk about what I should be doing and what I have done and how I should have done things.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at you.
Yeah.
Worry about what you're doing. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of them just want a big out of me, you know, for some attention. So I'm like, keep on keeping on. But to anybody who's showing love, love back to them, you know. And either way, it's not gonna affect me. It's just giving me more energy to show them what's up.
It's the last one for me. When all is said and done, through the beginning, everything, bro, the street fighting, bare knuckles, MMA, highs and lows, layoffs, issues, fights with the UFC. Now you got this opportunity August 5th. What do you want Nate Diaz's legacy to read when it's all said and done?
Just it's not even a want. It's what I know I'm gonna do. What I'm here to do is people can hold belts and have their titles and talk about how they're the greatest and the best and all this. But I feel like, and I believe and I know that people. My plan is by not having lame fights, boring fights, and training hard and doing good, and doing the exciting stuff and doing what people want to see and not what people think you're supposed to do. I think that I'm going to do stuff that's going to make people's kids and grandkids remember my fights. And a lot of these fighters go in and they're saying they're the greatest of all time and all this stuff. And they run with that saying quick, you know, like in and out of the sport. And you know, all of a sudden you're the greatest of all time. But people won't remember a lot of these people's fights. And I think all the fights I have, I think people will remember them forever, and that's my goal, and that's what I'm here to do, is do it from a martial arts standpoint too, where it's like different and everybody's gonna know. You want to see a dope fight, watch him, because that's the stuff I remember and it stays with me forever. So that's what I'm trying to do, make the best stuff happen.
Well, I think you've done that, brother, and you got another opportunity to put another stamp on the legacy August 5th, even though people say it's a YouTuber, this and that, still a fight.
100%.
He's coming to get something, and you trying to defend what you got. So looking forward to it, brother. Appreciate the time, man.
Hey, appreciate
Thank you for having me, bro.
Thank
so,
you. Yes, sir.